Thank you for joining us today at the Holly Hughes Podcast. Today I'm really excited about speaking with Brian Lafontaine because your career is not only an actor and a storyteller, that you speak on your website about dealing with hecklers and the like, which I want to get into, but you also help people step into their own spotlight. And as a TEDx speaker and knowing how exceedingly uncomfortable that experience was for me, I'm so excited to talk with someone about all of that because that's quite a journey. That's quite a journey. So tell me, how did it all begin? Like, why acting for you? Why? Like, when you were 8 and you saw, that Dunkin' Donuts commercial, you were like, me, I want that. I want the donut and the coffee.
It wasn't a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. I think it was just more from watching actual TV shows or movies, and seeing people on there and just thinking like, how cool is that? Like they get to do that. They get to tell these stories. Even as a kid, like my brain kind of worked that way. And I was the entertainer in my family. I was the dinner table comedian. I was the tension breaker. Middle child syndrome, whatever you want to call it, being the third of five. Yeah, I was the one. Yes,
Ooh, third of 5. That's
smack dab in the middle.
impressive.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't know who it's impressive for.
It is for me because I just think of my body doing that. I think that's where my brain goes. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, she's good. Wait, where did you grow up? Like,
Seriously,
where in the world, what influenced you?
where in the world did you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Rhode Island, the great
Oh,
state of Rhode Island. Yes, the
nice.
tiniest state in the country.
That's fascinating to me.
Is it?
So you speak of acting as storytelling. I've never really heard another actor say it that way before, honestly. And I was in LA for 18 years. I never heard someone do that. So I'm fascinated by that and your interpretation of that and how you take story and then recreate it as a character.
Good God.
I know.
Well, I mean, it's more applicable for theater than it is for film and television, especially, in the level that I've worked at in film and TV, which is on, the lower level. Let's just be honest. I've never been, really above the credits. I'm not the guy that you're tuning in for necessarily. I'm not the guy that
You're a working actor.
I have been a working actor for a very long time. As loose as that term is, yes, that has been my entire career for the past, you know, 25 years.
I don't think you should belittle that. This is like a big thing. When I first landed in LA, we were talking about like when you got your, like, not that I ever was in front of the camera, not my cup of tea. I'm not that. I could dance, but I couldn't, like, no. Mark, speak words, not move my hands like this, all of the above bad. All of the above bad. Oh, that reminds me, I worked with someone rather famous now who was so bad at hitting their mark, we had to put a stack of sandbags. So she would literally hit the sandbag and stop. But anyway, I won't
So,
mention names
so
because
did
everyone really likes her.
so did every one of
But
those scenes start with this?
editing, baby, editing. That's what it's all there for. Good lighting and editing. I think she was pretty enough that people didn't really care,
Oh, goodness.
honestly. But we would talk, especially when I was working with the DGA, which for people who might not know, is the Directors Guild, and the trainees and anyone who got to set background, helping people get their SAG card, even through extra work or being a day player, it's a big deal. And not that many people actually survive to do it. So I would never downplay a day player.
Right. What I was just ultimately getting at is that, coming in for a scene or a few scenes or just a couple of episodes, you're always a part of the story and you're always telling a story in some way. Even if it's just that one scene, that one moment, there is still a storyline in that moment. Otherwise, why have it in there? There's no point in having it in there. But I haven't had as many occasions on camera to truly have that full arc from start to
Hmm.
finish, to be a bigger part of the production where, you really do help move the story along for everyone. Um, so that's why when I say, storytelling more applicable to theater for me, because once the lights go up or the curtains open or whatever, and you're on stage, you're there until the either happy or sad ending. So you get to go through that whole, emotional journey every night, as opposed to like, with film and TV. It's like, okay, we're capturing this moment today. We're going
Bye-bye.
to go back and capture 3 moments before that moment tomorrow,
It's
we're going
impossible.
to put it all together and they'll never know the difference.
They'll never know. So, when was the first time you stepped on stage? How'd you know like that bug really got you?
Um, well, I mean, first time I stepped on stage theatrically was in 1992. It was when I did, my first play. The first time I stepped on stage, though, was when I was doing stand-up comedy. I started out doing stand-up. That was my introduction into show business. I had gone to, and I've told this story a bunch of times, but I'm happy to share it again with you. I went to Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina on a golf scholarship, a very small golf scholarship
Oh, what
until
was your
they
handicap?
fake. My handicap was phony. My handicap was illegitimate. It was made up. And it didn't take long for them to find out. They're like, "Oh, you suck at golf." I mean, I was a single digit handicap back but I was never North Carolina good. I was never North Carolina good.
You were Rhode Island good.
I was
Less
Rhode,
competition, smaller
I was
state.
Rhode Island okay. I wasn't even Rhode Island good, but I was definitely not North Carolina. Like the barista at Starbucks is like a scratch golfer. You know, like it's amazing how many people play here and played insanely well. So when I got down there, they were going, "What are you doing? Get out of here." So yeah, they kicked me off the team, took my scholarship back, and I decided to go into stand-up comedy because that's a natural transition.
Obviously.
Student athlete, stand-up. Someone's calling me. It's a scam, likely. So we're gonna delete that or silence that. Yeah, so that was when a comedian came on campus one weekend, and had become kind of the house MC for the student activities committee. So I was just introducing the acts. It was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Holly Hughes," and um, the staff member who was the director of student activities, I think he saw that there was something there, and he would always try and kind of like nudge the comedians or performers who would come on campus and be like, "Brian's going to be emceeing you, and Brian." And I had a conversation with one of the comedians who came on one weekend, and I made this offhand joke, and he said, "If you don't say that on stage tonight, I'm stealing that joke from you." So it was really kind of challenge dropped sort of thing. So I had to decide, am I going to be courageous enough to step on stage in front of all my classmates, people that I go to school with, people that I see every day of the week, that I live with 8 months out of the year, and give them an opportunity to truly see me and hear my thoughts, my ideas, my twisted sense of humor.
My hands are getting sweaty the more you talk about that. I'm just like, oh.
I mean, there's nothing harder than stand up. I don't care what anybody says. I'll argue with you all day long. There's nothing harder than stand up because you have one goal and one goal only, and that's to make people laugh. And if it doesn't go, then you're all by yourself. If you succeed in stand up, it's because of you. If you don't succeed in stand up, it's because of you. There are no really other outside factors. The whole like, the audience was dead. Maybe more dead than the previous ones, but they didn't show up there to have a crappy time. You know,
And they're drinking.
and they're drinking. So it's what you're bringing to the stage. It's what you're giving up. It's what you're putting out to the audience and how you're connecting with them or not connecting with them. But that's solely on you. So yes, the first stand-up experience was honestly pretty damn good, all things considered. I mean, I got hit with that first wave of laughter, and it was,
Yes.
I want more of this. Yeah.
I want to ask you some now. I'm like more fascinated than all these notes I have in front of me because I want to die. I have a friend who also used to do stand up comedy in Ireland.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah, she's amazing, and then she doesn't do it anymore. But like, she and I used to talk about like rhythm of the performance, right? The high, the low, where you go, where you don't go. So is that where you met your first heckler, like out there in school,
Oh,
or
no, it was really, I don't remember it so much, when I would do it on campus, um, which is odd. I don't know if it's because I just kind of gave off the nice guy thing. But when I was doing, when I started playing actual clubs, actual comedy clubs, I ran into
there's always
obviously a
one?
few hecklers and things like that. Um, Yeah, I know you made that reference on my website, and I'm sure that's on there. If you're saying it's there, I'm sure it's there. I don't remember specifically what it said or what I said or what I put on there. What did I say
Uh,
on my website?
Wait, I'm gonna find it. Wait.
I think it also says that I'm 6'4". But no.
Obviously. Yeah. Oh, that was, it says, yeah, you say you face hecklers, blank stares, and nerves. I
Sure.
wrote, I have it
Sure,
right
sure, sure.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
proof.
And I think honestly, it's more applicable now as far as dealing when I say hecklers, it's a looser term than it was when I was doing stand up. The public speaking stuff that I'm doing now, you will get that person who will, you ask a question to the audience and they will respond and then they will respond again. And it's much easier now. I'm also a lot older, you know. I'm not as afraid as much as I used to be when you're younger and you're on the stage for a different reason and you think, there's got to be this sense of perfection and you're still dealing with a lot of that self-awareness of, do they like me? Do they hate me? Do I suck? Are my pants on fire? Am I wearing pants?
Are
You
there pants? I mean,
know,
it's a podcast. You might not be. Just saying.
r- I mystery.
And
Uh,
it's a mystery. The people have to tune in and like listen in really carefully.
this
I'm
is
really curious of also exploring when it comes to comedians. A lot of them are actually not you,
Mhm.
but many are dealing with big depressive issues, right? Like they're drawing from a pain to make you laugh. In general, you don't come off that way. You got that middle child thing, but I don't know. But so, like, if you were always the bridge keeper in your home, because I love exploring the topic of home and what was safe and what brings creativity into the world, what was that like? What was like growing up then for you? What was your household like? Were they funny? Was it serious? Were you trying to lighten the mood?
I was trying to lighten the mood. I mean, look, I'm just as fucked up as anybody. I come from just as much of a dysfunctional family as anybody does, and I love my family. They're wonderful. They're great. My parents are still married after 60 years. Uh,
Oh,
Siblings and I are pretty damn close, all things considered. So I'm very, very fortunate. But yeah, my family is just as dented and damaged as anybody else's.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
you know, um, because when I started to go into the show business route, my parents weren't necessarily enthusiastic and supportive. And it's not because it's like they had dreams of me doing something else. I think it was so far removed from what they knew that they didn't know how to support me, except to say, okay. There are actually times where, like, when I first started doing stand up and after I had those first few experiences on my college campus and I came home for the summer and I said, I'm going to get up on stage at a comedy club. I still remember as clear as day my father saying, I don't know about that. And he wasn't saying, I won't allow you to do it. He was saying, in his brain, that was like, you can't just go into a comedy club and get on stage. There's got to be like, you have to know the president. I think that his brain and both my parents were like, those are things for other people that we don't have connections to that. We're not a part of that world. So they didn't know how to support me in that way. I mean, and don't get me wrong, my parents have seen every movie and every TV show that I've done. They saw me do stand up a number of times. They've seen a number of uh, my theatrical productions. They've, come down or gone to New York or wherever I was, doing a play at the time. And so and they couldn't be prouder. But there is still that thing, like when I come off stage or when the movie's over, where I can tell that they're looking at me and they don't really know how to talk to me. Because I think their brain is still going like, what just happened?
I know that feeling.
What
I
did
know
you
that feeling.
what did you do? What are you doing? And like, they don't know what questions to ask me. All they can say is, like, they're beaming with pride, but they don't know how to verbalize it. And they don't even know how to inquire. Like, what's the process like? How does it feel for you when you're up there? None of those things. I think they're just going like, it's short circuiting for them.
I love
And
that answer. I also know that feeling when, like, back in the day when I just wanted to be a writer, my mom was like, going off to college, how do you make a living?
yeah, my
You
dad
know,
asked me that.
plumbers, what they were all plumbers, right? So, like, what is this writer doing? What do we do with you?
I had a house in Charlotte and an apartment in New York, all on my own. And my dad at one point literally he asked me, where is your money coming from? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you think that I'm like selling drugs or something like that? Like, again, the idea of, yeah, he's like, well, you don't talk about like the jobs you book. And it's like, do you really want to hear about every car wash radio ad that I do? Or,
I
every,
do. This is the perfect segue. I want to talk about voiceover stuff or commercial work, right? Because back in the
oh,
day there was also industrials. I don't know what they call them anymore.
they're
Do
still
they?
industrials.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And I did a ton of those. And it's like, yeah, it's not sexy work, but it's work and I'm happy to do it. But I'm like, do you really want me to talk to you about like, sexual harassment in the workplace at Bank of America?
I don't know if they're going to let me air that part because it doesn't happen at Bank of America.
Because they made videos to prevent it.
Obviously, it was your
I did my
voice.
job.
I
It
want to talk
worked.
about voice because you're so fun. You're funny. First of all, you're just funny. So I'm glad you're not depressed on camera. I appreciate that. I had once sat next to Richard Jennings. I mean, he is someone who ended his yeah, I don't know how
Richard
to say
Jennings, the
that.
comedian Richard Jennings?
They
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I don't know if that should have a trigger warning nowadays, but he passed away by his own actions. But I had sat with him on a flight from New York to LA and he was just yapping me up. And I was like, okay, let's yap it up. And I sat next to a lot of really interesting people on those flights. I have so many stories about those, but he in particular was friendly. Alan Alda was the least friendly. He thanked me for not speaking to him the entire flight when he left. He turned to me, said, thank you, and got up and he was reading the Woody Allen script then. So that was a long time ago. Anyway, but he was talking with me. He's like, can I drive you home? I'm like, nah, my friend is coming, but thank you. And down at baggage was his girlfriend. It's so LA. And then like a week later, I saw him at a comedy club down in Redondo Beach. And then he was like white because he was still with his girlfriend. I was like, oh, it's good to see you. And I said that to the girl. I always speak to the female person so they
Yeah.
know that I'm not,
Right.
it's like, nice to see you. Good to see you. Great show kind of thing. It was soon after that it happened. And I was so sad because I got to kind of know how introverted and quiet he was and like some of his thought processes.
Yeah.
Um, that was
Yeah.
a swish. I want to go back to voiceover because I have a funny story too.
Come on.
This is excellent. So, for people who don't know, you're the expert, right? My podcast is about living a creative life. Explain how voiceover is an amazing way to have a career, and because your voice is distinct. And listening to myself now on my podcast, my voice is like, "Ugh," but you have that voice. You can do this voice. I can do that voice, and whatever. So, talk about voiceover for people who might not know it. How would you describe it?
Well, first of all, you're a crazy person. You
I
have a
am, but that's what
delightful
makes me
voice.
artistic.
Yeah, you have a phenomenal voice. It's so interesting that you're asking this question today in 2025 because my answer is going to be very, very different than it was a few years ago because it has changed considerably in the last few years. It's nothing close to what it was like because of, technology and AI or whatever it is, or the fact that any person with a microphone and a laptop truly can do it. If you have the equipment to record yourself audio wise, you can get in the game. So the talent pool and the casting net is so much bigger now. It's truly you against the world for every voiceover job. So as you can imagine, I have people on a fairly regular basis throughout the year, especially with on the voiceover side, want to talk to me about voiceover work because just like I've said to you, you've got a lovely voice. You could absolutely work in the voiceover business. And when someone says that to someone else, they stop and think, wow, do I have a wonderful voice that I could make money off of? And they'll come to me and say, people tell me that I have a really nice voice. And my response is, yes, you do. They're not wrong. But I also want to make you aware of something. You know who else has a really nice voice? Most people. Most people have a really nice voice, pleasant sounding speaking voice. Most people don't sound like, you're dragging a dumpster across a parking lot when they speak. And if you do, that person's probably going to work a shit ton.
Yeah, because they are unique.
Yes. Yes. So, it has been a great way to make a living. It's been a great way to supplement, the career because I mean, I literally have my big ass booth right here next to me. And because voiceover is done primarily in commercial scripts, which is going to be 15, 30, or 60 seconds, that's short stuff. You don't have to put on makeup. You don't have to set up a camera. You just need a microphone and enough of a quiet space that's acoustically treated so that it sounds uh, uh, professional grade when they edit it. That, again, you don't even have to put on pants, and you can crank these things out. Obviously, I'm a fan of not wearing pants.
It's a theme. It's a
It keeps
theme. I
coming up.
like it.
But I mean, these are things like, normally, as you know, you do a commercial shoot. You're shooting one spot, maybe two spots in a 10, 12-hour day. Voiceover, you can bang out a half dozen sessions in half a day, you know, and never leave your house. So yeah, it's been a great way to make a living for a long, long time. But it has changed drastically in the past few years, and the competition is so much higher. And now you're dealing with advancements in technology that are truly playing against you. I'll never forget when the whole AI, voice thing started coming, that I started seeing ads on YouTube that literally said, "Why hire a voice actor when you could purchase this?" And I'm like, "You're targeting fucking voiceover actors?
Yeah.
We're all struggling just to fucking make a living. You're targeting us specifically? Jesus."
I have so many things with AI. Just like as a writer, because it just steals so many people's content and rejiggers it. But Rick Rubin, I've been listening to him a lot lately. I guess my something in my soul must need his advice. But his quote I'm going to keep, and I might misquote, so everyone get over it. You can fix it in the comments for me. Basically, AI has no soul. So if you give them an input, all AI will eventually give you the same answer. But as a storyteller, musician, artist, even a voiceover artist, there is no soul behind it. I know a content creator who uses AI sometimes because they're so busy to fill in the script and speak for them. I could tell the difference. They're like, don't tell anyone you know when the difference is. I was like, I understand when you need it. It is an interesting tool. I just think I've seen too much sci-fi. I think we've all become a little too much like, actually, I think we're in the world of Wall-E right now. Did you know, like that Disney movie Wall-E?
So
Like
what?
we're all hitting the button, we're changing our thing, we're floating along, we have to start free thinking again, right? So being
And
creative.
that's my hopes in certain, not combating AI, because it's here, and it's, we got to find a way to work with it. But I am a firm believer that it's never going to capture your essence. It's never going to capture your spirit. You're right. It's never going to have a soul. So I don't think it's ever going to fully be able to capture, human behavior and human emotion in that way. But unfortunately, I also feel like we're in a time of, it's good enough.
Mm,
And good enough is, good enough is cheaper. But my argument with that is, like, if everybody's doing what's good enough, then how do you separate yourself? How do you stand out? How do you make your product different from anybody else's? It's the same thing when I'm working with people, in public speaking, especially now. It's like everybody's got a platform, everybody's got a message, everybody's got a story. And if everybody's just doing basically the same thing, then what are you doing to separate yourself from the noise? The example that I use is, I used to use it in regards to auditioning, where it's you and 1,000 other actors, and I compare it to being at a football game, at a Panthers game. We'll say everybody is there, they're wearing the same colors, and everybody's up and they're shouting and screaming and jumping around and whatever, and you look in the crowd and there's one person sitting still. Who are you going to pay attention to? The one person who's sitting still, most likely, because you're going to go, what's going on with that person?
mm,
Why aren't they doing what everybody else is doing? So it's that same sort of, idea. It's that same sort of mindset of, what can I bring to it? What can I do that only I can bring to it? That it's not going to be like everybody else. And that means you have to be willing to take that next step of vulnerability and exposure, like going all the way back to the beginning of our conversation when you asked me about stand up, is you've got to be willing to let them see you. Truly being open to letting them see you, truly being open to letting them hear you without judgment, without apology. Yeah, unapologetic
yeah.
you.
I can roll with everything, and I'm nonlinear. So I think that's an honest conversation. That's the whole point of why I'm doing this. I started this because I wanted to have conversations with creative people about the reality of a creative life. And it's a high high and a low low. We're all a little manic. We all have our own process to get to that authenticity, which is my whole thing, right? Real, not perfect. But then authenticity became a buzzword, which made me not want to do my healing as much publicly because I guess we're going to jump. For me, like, especially during this, like public speaking, everyone's like, oh, 5 years ago, Holly, you should have a podcast. I was like, yeah, it's a lot of work, man. Like, you don't know what I'm working. Like, I have 3 books in draft over there. I'm like writing essays. I'm helping people. I'm doing workshops. Like, oh, I'm a mother. Like, I'm busy. Like, I know I might not look it. Like, I might just make this look so easy, but I'm busy. And I was scared because as a writer and even in production, I was producing, right? So I was having my control issues over here and letting the creativity be there. But I really wanted to be a creative producer. Like when Amelie came out and when you talk about the tone and the color and how that story was told on all the nuance level, I could go and I could talk about that for 10 hours. Like when just like hair, makeup, wardrobe, color, green, this, what's this? Like, just give me that. And I wanted to, so I would give all my ideas away, never get credit. And then I got bitter. I became what I hated in LA, which was a bitter woman trying to make it in the business because I felt like I was never heard or seen in the way that I wanted to be. And part of it was I wasn't able and I couldn't really play the game of kissing ass. It's just not inherent in who I am. And it's necessary in that. But when I started trying to publicly speak, which started performing my own essays like in a show, what surprised everybody is that when I got on stage, my voice was this loud. I was so scared that my voice literally would disappear. And everyone's like, you're loud. I'm like, I'm actually an introvert, so I'm not loud. I have a microphone. Like, I'm going to tell you a story about my miscarriage. That's scary for me. That's insanely vulnerable. And
Absolutely.
then, even though I'm not in pain walking around every day, to call upon that feeling, so I'm being real with you while I discuss it, is something that I have not found exactly a safe space anytime I've done that. But that's kind of like what I was doing there. So that's kind of fascinating in that you're talking about authenticity. And then I go to, but are you safe to be it? How do you tell a story over and over again in a room with many people and then, but feel safe enough backstage to come out and deliver? And I think that is part of one of the things about actors I admire and slightly hate.
Well, I mean, you want to make sure, obviously, and I'm saying this as actors as well, is that, we certainly want to make sure that we're not going into therapy land when, we're performing some of these scenes or digging to relate to this, character or this moment. Um, I know that we've certainly been accused of that at times of like, yeah, it just like you're going through therapy for yourself. Good. I'm glad this is working for you. Uh, and I think you've got to be careful of knowing that, we're obviously multifaceted and there's so many layers, I think, to authenticity. You can have an honest moment without, you know,
That,
without
yeah.
dumping your purse out onto the table with all your deep, dark secrets. You can share and connect in a moment that's genuine and sincere without all that stuff. And at the same time, for the person who is sharing that authentic, moment or telling that very personal story, hopefully you've gotten to a place where you've healed enough to where you can tell it and share it and make sure, and that I'm going to keep the audience safe. It's not even so much about keeping you safe.
Mm.
I know that I'm already in a place where you don't have to worry about me. I'm sharing something with you that's, it's going to be a little touchy. It's going to be a little sensitive. I'm going to make sure that I let you know from the get-go that I'm okay. And I'm actually going to take care of you while I'm sharing this information with you.
I love that. I love that. That's going to be like my keeper for the day for me. I love that. And I want to clarify for anyone listening and being like, oh my God, the bitch is a hater. No, it was like as a producer, I would have to make sure literally the environment was good and safe for an actor. I go down for trailer, food, who's going to talk to them, who's going to be around them, who's dressing them, how they're going to get to set. And some people get to be persnickety. All those stories that you've heard about, like not that color M&M, they're true. I had someone playing Favored Nations game with me one time, and I was like, okay, like we're filming. Can you just whatever? I had another actor who lost their script every day on episodic television. I'm like, really, your job is to know these words? But we were so used to it. We had 5 scripts a day just waiting for. I'm like, we're on set. I don't know where you're losing it exactly. I'm pretty sure they're all in your bathroom, but that's okay. We have
Yeah.
another one for you. It's just like
Right.
when you're on the production side of that, that gets tedious. And I think that is more old, bitter 90s Holly, but it's
It's
fine.
well, it's unfortunate that a lot of those, or at least that some of those stories are still true to this day. That we're even after as much as we've evolved and everything that we've gone through and continue to go through, just as a society, that you still have Academy Award winners get on the van to go to set and say something like, "Do you know who I am?
Yes.
Do you need me to know who you are?"
I think you're number one on the call sheet, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
You're right there. Your name is on everything. Thank
yeah.
you.
Do you know who you are?
Do you remember? It's all good. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to voiceover work because this is my funny story. I'm going to lighten the mood again. So back in the day, do you remember Red Shoe Diaries? Are
Yes.
you
I,
old
I
enough
I
for
never
that?
watched them, but I remember that they existed. Yeah, so
Okay,
it was a
so
show that existed.
they were like how should I put that? I think for today's standard, they were probably PG-13, but for back in the day,
Right, yeah, they were pretty
they were
tawdry.
racy. They were
Yeah.
like we called it. So I worked on two. I worked on not Red Shoe Diaries proper, but HBO had a version, and Skinamax, that's what we called it, had a version.
Right.
So
Right.
I produced those. It was great money, by the way, and I was like 25. I was like, yeah, sweet. We so anyway, so I'm producing one, and we filmed it near the Playboy Mansion. It was like this very bizarre world, whatever. And the director calls me one night. He's like, I didn't get a good sound on set. Can you come help me? Now, being strangely naive, because I know, look at your face, look at your face. So I was like, okay. His first name is Gareth. Gareth was like, come to the studio, and we lived in North Hollywood, right? We're in the Valley, because although I'm making good money, it's LA, and I'm whatever. Yeah, me and my 4 roommates. So I go to the editing place, da da da, and he's like, I need M&G. And I was like, I don't know what M&G is. Like, do you want me to say her line? Do you need footsteps? Like, Foley? What are you talking about? Moans and groans. Moans and groans. So like I'm smirking and laughing. And he's like, I was like, is this a setup? But it was true. He didn't. He had horrible sound. So then, so now I very sheltered girl, like super. I know I'm LA weird, but like no, I'm gonna moan into a mic with 2 men next to me on the other side of the glass in a booth,
Sure.
and the director's like, "Here, I'll help," and he's like, I was like, "No, not helping, not helping." Because he was doing the males like part, and I was like, I think I lasted. See, I can't even do it with a straight face, and I'm fully past middle age at this point. But
Do you want me to like cover this?
exactly, cover the camera. But I will never forget doing M&G in the Valley for a Skinamax. I don't think I got paid for that part. I definitely wasn't paid enough to do it. I think was that an episode with Shannon though? It might have been. I think that was it. Shannon, the one who's married to Gene Simmons, but
In a tweet?
yes,
Yes. Heck yes.
worked with her a couple of times. But yeah, so M&G, but not for her because she's a professional.
Oh,
But
sure.
for
She
the
gets
other
right up
girl,
on the on the microphone. You're gonna get this, G. Oh yeah. I want to make sure you get this. No one's looping. No one's ADR in my moment.
we don't need the Holly M&G. So anyway, that was yeah.
I am.
Maybe that's part of why I don't enjoy them. It's like this is so awkward. It's just so
Yeah, but this
awkward.
is such a so quintessential LA, like Hollywood story. Oh my God, you lived the life.
I did. I also, my hand is in a shot, the close up, the cut, insert shot one time on a computer. My hand, very exciting. So, okay, talking about LA and actors.
Yes.
Okay, physicality. Yeah, like because there's standards for what women need to look like. Do
Uh-huh.
they exist for men? And does that exist in theater? And is it changing? Your experience. What's your experience?
I
Because we
mean,
know you're 6'4".
I am 6'4" and I weigh 37 pounds.
Yeah.
I've always stayed pretty fit. That was always a big deal for me, because I had aspirations of trying to break into the leading man category, um, you know, and not realizing that it's like, oh, well, you're not 6'4", you're not even 6'1", you're not even 5'10", you know. Um, so that was like, there are not very many Tom Cruises in the world,
Mm.
who are the tiny leading men action stars. So, but staying in shape because I fit into that type for the most part was always kind of a priority for me. So I never really got to test the waters of, hey, and I've had people try and get me to like just grow your hair out, grow a beard, stop working out, and just see what it'll do for you. And I'm like, it sounds really, really interesting because there have been times where I've tried to sort of dip my toe into that, and it's like, you're still too fit, you're still too well put together. We don't You can be dirty, but you don't look dirty enough yet. You know what I mean? It's like I can do dark and I can do dirty, and I, do surprise people at times, but they're like, but we look at you and they're like, you still look, I'm just going to say it now because I've been in this business too long. You're still too handsome. You're still too, clean cut. You're not
Mhm.
messy enough. You don't have enough, scars and bruises and grossness on you. Even though you can go there and we can get that from the look in your eyes, the rest of you says, "Here, let me take those bags for you and hold the door." So I don't really know. Uh, I've never been able to see it necessarily. I don't. I think it's obviously very different for women than it is for men. I think guys can get away with that with a hell of a lot more. I mean, you look at James Gandolfini was a leading man, for God's sake. There were a lot of guys like that who weren't necessarily all Brad Pitts, who had phenomenal, leading careers. Women, I think those numbers are much smaller, and those windows were much smaller as well for any of them that did. I think the pressure on women to maintain a certain
Perfection.
physicality is, yeah, and it sucks. It really, really sucks because, you take, and I'm not going to name names because it's not like I've necessarily worked with them, but you watch them over time, who are some of the most beautiful women who have ever graced the screen, whether it be on TV or movies, get to a certain age, and then they start fucking with their face, and you're like, what are you doing? Oh
Uh,
my God, what are you doing? And at the same time, I can't understand what kind of pressure that they're under to possibly see their career truly just disappear when they are still one of the most beautiful women, walking the planet.
I think
But
that's
the
why I
industry
like
doesn't
Kate
see the
Winslet
same.
so much lately. Well, first of all, she's a phenomenal actress, and she's brave. Like she's done some of the roles that might have been smaller on her way up, even like she's brave, and her face is her face. And
Hmm.
as again, like as I'm in my mid to late 50s, it's like, it, like, like crack a lot or whatever, and fit and healthy, but you're like, oh, that outside, that thing is happening. Shit, I'm aging.
Right. Yeah.
Aging's weird.
Yes. It sucks. I'm not a fan. I hate
Not
it.
a fan. Highly
I
recommend, but not a fan.
right. 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 Yeah. The alternate is not a very good
Right.
option.
Okay, so
Yes.
I also I was thinking about this thing for me as an audience member. I saw Mean Girls when it came through town with my daughter, and for me, at one point in the show, I got very emotional because of all the shapes and sizes and different people that were on stage, which didn't exist like when I was in the business or when I danced or like I had to be a certain way or whatever.
Yes.
This is what beauty is. This is what a dancer is. And, to say that I want to see a ballerina that is wildly not ballerina, like I can tell you I'm a traditionalist a bit that way, I think the line should look like that line. That is why it's ballet. But watching that play and seeing all that talent Like it, I was so happy.
Yeah, I think in that respect, in that regards, the they have opened up the casting window to a little bit more of yeah, the different various shapes and sizes, obviously, and racial backgrounds, and sexual orientations, obviously, that we didn't, prior to 5 years ago, I would say no,
Right.
Hollywood is still Hollywood. Um, I think there's been a huge shift, which is wonderful. But I still feel like in the leading roles necessarily that probably hasn't changed as much.
Yeah. Money.
But right, right. But I think it's great. Yeah, truly in theater, especially, you can see that, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic.
What's your favorite medium to work in?
Theater, it really is. If I could make a living, well, if I could make, if I could make the same living doing theater as I have, doing commercials and movies and TV and voiceovers and on camera work, then I would probably do nothing but theater. It's just there's something about it. It is that whole live theater thing. There is that whole sense of yeah. Once the show starts, you're taking this journey from start to finish. You're covering in 2 hours what a movie covers over the span of 3 months of shooting. Um, and you have to do it, every night, every night, every night. A movie, you hit play again, and you're going to see the same movie every time. And theater, you go to the next night, and it's not going to be exactly the same the next night. Something's going to be different. Um, and there's just obviously something just very electric and alive about that all the time. My partner, she tells me, she's like, you're a different person when you're doing a play. And she doesn't mean that. She's like, in a good way. She's like, she said, you light up on a stage like no other time. And so anytime I'm doing a show, I think she's probably just as excited, if not more so than I am.
I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Anything you ever took from set that you can
Uh,
admit in public?
um,
Any
like movies.
wardrobe? Did you ever like a
Oh,
favorite, like something like that from?
from theater or
Uh-huh.
from I kept I played Oscar Madison in The Odd Couple. I kept the New York Mets hat. Um, I've done a lot of Neil Simon, and the first one that I did, the first show that I did was I did Brighton Beach Memoirs and Broadway Bound way back in the late 1900s. Um, and I'm trying to remember if I kept anything from that show. I don't think so. Not too much. Um,
I'm always fascinated by like, so how you did 8 shows a week then?
no, it was regional theater, so it
Okay.
was either five or six. Yeah, no, I didn't. I never did Broadway. I did, off Broadway and off Broadway, and so you were running a regular, four or five, sometimes six shows in small spaces in New York City. But no, regionally, same thing. Yeah, we weren't necessarily running an 8 show week.
I have hopes for you. I have
I,
dreams.
I,
I'm
I
speaking
when
this into being, man. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, when you see these tours come through, it's like, man, I can imagine how exhausting that must be, but let me just do it once. You know, let me take it all around the country for 6 months or a year and have that just sort of elite athlete level
Mm.
experience theatrically.
I spoke with a playwright not that long ago, and she calls theater a crucible, the crucible of creation. She's just like that intense environment when you're in the dark and you're there and you're experiencing it live. I
Yeah,
really liked that.
yeah,
I'm keeping that one.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think of like those people who tour, not only are you giving that energy of performance, but traveling like that is exhausting. I don't know how they're not all sick.
I think several of them are and do get sick.
They
I'm sure
always
that they
are.
do, but and you have understudies and people go on for you, and yeah, I think they prepare for that.
All right, so when are you getting on stage next? Where we're all going to go with our little signs?
I
Let's
don't
go
know,
brag.
because now, because you can't make any money doing theater, so I'm very, very selective about the shows that I want to be in, especially. I've been doing more directing in the past few years, which has been a whole ton of fun. Um, I'm supposed to be directing a play next spring over at Theater Charlotte, doing God of Carnage for them, which is a great show. 4 people. I actually did a production of it back in 2013, and then I saw the original Broadway production with James Gandolfini and Jeff Daniels and Marcia Gay Harden and Hope Davis, and it was ridiculous. Yeah, it was incredible. So yeah. But as far as being on stage, I don't know. I this I mean, to be truly, really real,
Yeah.
this whole public speaking side of the business is still so new. And when I started offering this service, or even just offering my services as a speaker as well as a speaking coach, I thought it would just be another offering under the Brian LaFontaine Incorporated umbrella, and it's really a completely separate business entirely because the clientele is completely different.
Tell me about it. You do have the
Well, there
speakeasy meetings in Charlotte. You
I
hold
do.
those
Yes, I
as
have the
well.
speakeasy events the first Monday of every month.
Is that like
Uh,
a stand-up
Charlotte.
comedy roast? What is that? I'm
Honestly, I
teasing.
try to. No, I understand
Okay.
that, but I've had people ask me. They're like, "Oh, I've got some stand-up friends who might want to come," and it's like, cool. This isn't an open mic for stand-ups necessarily because there are plenty of those around town. This is really more for people who are interested. Not really more. It's for people who are interested in speaking in any capacity outside of stand-up per se. It's like, honestly, you want to come and test your set, cool, but that's not the lineup that I'm trying to create. It's for people in the professional world who either just are paralyzed when they get up in front of an audience, or want to work on, one-on-one communication skills, or if you are working on a keynote speech or a TEDx talk, or you've got a corporate presentation or pitch that you're doing. How often do you get the opportunity to work on that in a group setting in front of an audience before you actually do it on the day? Never. So, and to actually get feedback and coaching in the process. So, yeah, it's because the clientele from the public speaking side of the business are more in the corporate and professional world, and then everything else on the acting side is all entertainment industry related. That's why when I started pursuing that, I realized, oh, I don't know anybody to offer this service to. I have no corporate connections, zero. So,
Now you have so many more. By the
I have like 7, 8.
I can hook a girl up. I have the most interesting eclectic group of people in my world. So, as clients is my intuitive business. I had a lot of corporate people, but the thing is they don't like to tell people that they see me.
Right, sure, I get that.
So I'm just like, well, it's referral, just saying. But no, I think how do you okay, this is a question. He's like, what's coming? What's coming? I know
Yeah.
I'm a throat talker,
Okay.
right? Like how do you ease up on that? Like, because I think public speaking, if you speak, you're just going to lose your voice so fast, no matter how many Werthers you take. And I can be told to go into my chest and then I can dip down, but I can't stay there.
It's practice like anything else.
So how do you practice? Give us a tip. Come on, give us a tip. The pressure's on. So I want to explain to people what is a throat talker. I can feel my throat constrict while I speak. I learned this a lot. I probably say this too much, but I was trying to learn, am still trying to learn Korean. And it is a language spoken at the front of your mouth and in your chest. And I don't do that. And so I was trying to learn, or even during the process of my TEDx, my coach was like, chest voice, Holly, chest voice, Holly. She also made me talk with my hand in my back pocket, which made me forget so many of my words because I was too emotive at first.
I'm gonna find that lady and I'm gonna wrestle her a little bit because I never would have made you put your hands in your back pockets.
I,
I would actually tell you to take your hands out of your pockets.
mm. You would like her. I actually really like her. She was my favorite part of the experience. I'm not going to
Say
go
about
there.
that.
But yeah, how would you give a thing, even someone who's just speaking maybe in an office meeting? It's like,
Yeah. To
I
get,
think
I
you're
mean,
talking, are you taken more seriously if your voice is a little softer? I know when I'm really mad or in production to get someone's attention, I would talk this loud. I would make them lean in.
sure. Yes, that's a strategy for, yes, getting someone's attention when they can't hear you, certainly. But when you are in front of an audience and you want to project your voice, then yeah, it needs to come from your chest. And that comes just, again, it comes from practice. It's like anything else. It's like working out.
How
It's
do you
like
practice
exercise.
that? That's like my question. Like
You
lit
want to
for real.
warm-ups, vocal exercises that you can do, true classic, state-of-the-art, old school, where your camera's frozen and not the best photo. There you go. Okay, much better.
It's like it
There we
freezes, but it doesn't freeze on the other
I
end.
know. You were stuck in
Oh, I'm
one of
pretty.
those first.
It's one of those things I'm getting
That's
over in
good.
this podcasting thing is like I kind of want to do a whole series on my Instagram of the awkward face. That's my sense of humor, so yeah.
But yeah, good old fashioned theatrical vocal warm ups. And there's a million of them out there. And they're things that you can do on a daily basis or, multiple times a day. That's one, keeping your vocal cords warm, getting, the air and the sound more down here and coming from your diaphragm. As opposed to just let me just go up there cold and open my mouth and it's no if you're gonna go and play a a game of, if you're going to go play soccer, if you're going to go play baseball, if you're going to go play football, if you're going to go for a run, you're going to stretch, you're going to warm up. You're not just going to go. If you do, cool, there's a good chance you might damage something.
Hmm.
You've got less of a chance of hurting yourself if you warm up and prepare properly. And yeah, I can find you a bazillion different vocal exercises, and you should probably do several of them on a regular basis to, get into that practice of hearing your voice down here and getting the air, yes, moving from your diaphragm
Yeah, I think
up
it's
the
part of excitement too. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh,
Yes, because and you're also trying to express that and share that as well. If you're a speaker and you're not excited about what you're talking about, no chance your audience is going to be excited about what you're talking
we're gonna
about.
that'll be our opening frame. That face we just both made, just like that awkward. Mm. Do you ever coach like students or in college or in even high schools? Because in town, we're in Charlotte, and they have the Bloomies, right?
They do have the
And so I'm curious if you help any students ever, or you prefer dealing with full grown people?
I prefer full grown people. I've worked with on the acting side, you talking or public speaking or both? I have not had the chance to work with anyone under the adult age on public speaking. Acting, yeah, I used to work with, high school kids and teenagers when I was teaching, more studio classes and things like that. The little ones, I never really had a thing with the younger ones, not because I don't like kids. It's just that I don't know how to handle, like, I think it takes a special person who knows how to communicate with kids. And I'm not one to like, yeah, I'm not going to get and roll around on the floor with a bunch of 7-year olds. And yeah, that's not my thing. No, you know, yeah. There are people who are much better at that than I am. So I prefer to work with adults just because I have more patience for that.
I get that. I get that. It's a cutthroat business out there in the Bloomies. My toe dipped in it last year. I was like, oh, okay, there you go. Now I know.
Yeah, I mean the Bloomies I think are a little bit different. Those kids are pretty hardcore, man. They have the commitment of adults.
Mhm.
So that certainly helps with their work ethic and what they want to do. They want to be good. It's not like one of those things where my mom's making me do this, you know, which I would get in some of the other classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other like ways are you creative in your life? Do you write? Do you paint? Do you play music?
I I started playing the piano in my early 40s. It was something that I really wanted to do for a long time. And I finally, was just like, I've got the time, I've got the means. Why not? So yeah, you know, I don't play nearly as much as I would like because of other things that, take precedent, unfortunately. But I did. I learned how to play the piano, and I was doing that on a semi-regular basis. I even performed with the School of Rock.
Ooh, what song?
Yeah, we did a whole set. We did a gig. We did a show. We performed over at Hattie's over in Plaza Midwood, which is this great dive bar, and we did an 11-song set. Me and a bunch of other middle-aged people who had no right performing rock music in front of other people. Um, yeah, a few years ago, I was the keyboard player, and
And the MC or just the keyboard
yeah,
player?
just the keyboard player. Um, but I also did realize I was like, oh wow, these people who I was playing with, who were very, very talented musicians, I'm like, oh, they have no actual stage presence. I was like, I'm the only one who knows how to be up here. Oh. So if we were actually a band and did continue, it's like I would have become the band leader. I absolutely would have become the band leader.
Or
Yeah.
what was the favorite song you learned to play for that?
Well, I did 100 Years by Five for Fighting.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, I would sing, but you don't want to hear that at all.
yeah, yep.
Who sang that? That's a pretty high pitch. Just saying.
We had two female lead
Hmm.
singers. And it's still, yeah, it was a hard song for them to sing. There's something about having that high-pitched male voice that you just always look for. It's not that a woman can't sing it, but it does change it without the guy,
It
because I
does.
feel like even the story is more of it's coming from a guy's perspective. Um, but yeah, that I worked my ass off on that one. And I also played I played on every song. But we did the theme for the show was millennial rock or
Oh,
millennium rock. So it was everything from 2000 up was fair game. So we did a song from Pink, we did a song from Avril Lavigne, we did Florence and the Machine.
nice. I would have been down for all of that.
Yeah, we did Ship to Wreck with Florence and the Machine, and
Nice.
yeah, the
She,
Killers.
I gotta, maybe I should reach out to her. She's a badass too. Her voice is like,
Yeah, if you can get Florence and the Machine, if you can get Florence on there, damn, I'd be impressed.
I got some pretty interesting people coming. I'm gonna surprise you. That's
I,
the magic of me. I'm just like, I go for it. Fuck it.
I love it. I love
You
it.
tell me
You
no
probably
or
got a lot
don't
more.
call me back. Meh. Oh well, next. There's someone else next. I was like, you said Pink, and I told someone else. I interviewed a rock musician, which was so fun. But growing up, because it was the '70s and early '80s, I learned to play the organ to foot pedals. I
Wow.
know, sexy in the basement with the panels.
Wow.
So, but as an adult, of course, when I had my kid, I was like, music is big. I just think it's so important and creative person. So everything in the house was that way. So I made her take music lessons, of course, and piano, and she had aptitude, which was just amazing to watch. Like she had the right, like, her hand was right. You know that you
Mhm.
can't teach some things. You either
Yep.
have it or you don't.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, maybe I'll be brave enough to see if I can still read music really, and I learned Just Give Me a Reason by Pink. And yeah,
Wow.
I really had to grit my teeth because that was hard for me. I was like, because left hand in organ is chords, but left hand in piano is not. It's a lot more. There's a lot more movement. So that was like a big one.
So yeah, and I've dabbled in woodworking. I've painted in the past. I used to be able to draw really well when I was a kid. Um, I think there's just a lot of things. I'm a fairly creative person. Writing is the one thing that is just really, really tedious for me. Really tedious. And that does not, play well when you're trying to put a speech together. You know, it's like, yeah, yep, I want to put a keynote speech together. Could someone else please write it for me, please?
GPT. There you go. Add your soul. Add your
Yeah,
soul.
right. I mean, yes, but no, because again, Chat GPT it's never going to capture your voice. It's never going to capture your essence or anything like that. So you got to be careful. For those of you out there, Chat GPT warning, you can, sure, there's always a shortcut, but
Yeah, do the work.
same
Writing's
time, now
hard.
everybody's using Chat GPT, so it's not as big of an advantage as you think it is.
So how do you help someone find their voice if they know they want to say something, but they don't know how to get there?
Uh, That's a great question. And that's when we start to explore their true, like, again, your true personality. That's when we get back into the authenticity stuff. And I know that that's, again, a big buzzword, authenticity. Everybody's saying it, everybody's using it. But I feel it's the same as most things. Some people are better at authenticity than other people are. Everybody's using it, everybody wants it. Some people have no fucking idea what it is or how to get there. And it's not your fault, but just know that there are people who can help get you there, but you have to be willing. Um,
Is there a
so
question
I,
you ask people to see if they're good, if you're a good fit with them? Because right, you can't,
is
like,
there a
not
good fit?
everyone is a good fit.
I don't necessarily ask that question. I let them come to that, uh, assessment on their own. Um, but that's when I start digging into, okay, what do you like behind closed doors and what do you like in front of other people? what do you like when you and I are just talking one on one? And then what do you like as soon as I turn the camera on? Does your personality change? Do you go into performance mode? And while, as you know, just from doing a TEDx talk, that a TEDx talk is a performance. But I think performance has gone into, well, I've got to put on a show, I've got to be entertaining. Yeah, you do, but we're not asking you to become someone else in order to do that. I've had people say, I'm boring, I'm this, I'm not funny. I hate to tell you, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Even if you have the most dry, flat, introverted sense of humor, you've got a sense of humor. You find things funny. You say things that are funny. You may not be the life of the party and you're not, putting a lampshade on your head, but there's shit that you do that's funny. So all the things about you that you think are quirky or weird or your little idiosyncrasies that you don't like or that people have said, have made you feel self-conscious about, I'm going to make you lean into that shit, not run away from it. It's like, no, we're going to embrace those things because those are the things that truly make you stand out from everybody else. Those are the things that make you different. Those are the things that make you unforgettable, because nobody can do that the way that you do. So, I always one of the things that I do is pat myself on the back for is that I always do create a safe space for people to explore these things. Um, I hope, if nothing else, you've picked up on the fact that, I'm a pretty approachable guy. I'm not intimidating.
Because you're
I
six
am.
four.
I am, for a guy my size, for a guy who's 6'4", I'm really not very intimidating.
Yeah, my man candy is 6'5". People are always like, he's so angry. I was like, he's pale and he turns red when he speaks. He's just big. If the same thing came out of a shorter person, you would not be so freaked out. So
Yeah, I'm good at disarming people and making people feel comfortable. And, you know, and when I'm working with them, it's like, look, this is just you and me here. No one's going to see this stuff. No one's going to know what we're talking about. So let's just explore it and see what happens. And how do you feel when you get permission? You give yourself permission to just have fun, to just be you. The idea of letting somebody see you the way that you are when you're with your friends, the way that you are when you're with your kids, the way that you are when you're at a cocktail party and you don't give a shit what you look like, which is when you're your most interesting. So yeah, I help people tap into it that way, as opposed to saying, follow these 5 steps, and everybody can't follow the same fucking 5 steps and get the same result. No, you need to be able to work with the person on where they're coming from, on their level, from wherever that might be, from whatever their experience is. No two people are the same. So I'm not going to treat you the same as this other person that I work with. I've got to find a way to be able to connect with you and relate with you. It's no different than directing actors. Yeah, acting is acting, but I mean, I've learned the Strasberg method. Do Stanislavski. I have the Brian method, whatever it might be. Every actor works in their own way. So if I'm directing a play and I've got 6 actors who are approaching the material in their own way, which is 6 different ways, I've got to get them all on stage to make sure that they're telling the same damn story and they're in the same environment. So I've got to be able to connect and communicate with them individually before I put them all
I
together.
love that. I love that. I think you should do more directing too. And I need to see you on the theater stage more, obviously.
I'm working on it. I'm working
I'm
on
gonna
it.
I'm
I'm
gonna
working.
have a big banner. I'll be the girl on the encore
Yeah.
banner.
Go, Brian. I know him.
I mean, he doesn't really know me, but hey, now we're friends, psycho girl in the audience. Okay, so like I love that you talk about how you see everyone in their way. I like to wrap up each episode asking everyone the same question, which is if you came with a warning label, what would it be? And I'm so curious as to what yours might be.
I mean, there's a couple of warning labels that I would
Break them
probably come.
out.
I mean, one would be warning comes with Catholic guilt. There's that one. You know,
I like that
still,
one.
that one's still
That
that's
one's
still in there.
good.
As much as I've tried to get rid of it, it's still there. Um, Warning, yeah, explosive, or warning, combustible. Um, Warning may break into song.
Can you
Um,
sing? Do you have a good voice?
I used to have a goodish enough voice. My voice has gotten a little deeper in the past, I want to say decade. I don't know if it's just because if it's from age or from drinking coffee and bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon, baby. It's
I don't
bourbon.
know. But like, yeah, I used to be able to sing pretty well, and now it's like I'm not a big karaoke fan, but people would kind of drag me up on stage because they knew that I could sing pretty well, and some of those songs I can't sing the way that I used to be able to sing them. It's like, no, I used to do a pretty damn good Scenes from an Italian Restaurant by Billy
Yeah,
Joel.
you don't have to say who it was. I know who that is.
It's, I can't hit a lot of those notes anymore. So it's like, damn,
And it's a
that was a
long
fun
song, man.
choice.
You were there for a while.
Oh, it
A
was a great
bottle of
one though.
red, a bottle of white. Mm. Now
Yeah,
that'll be in my head for the rest of the day. Thanks.
I know,
Thanks for
right?
that.
I
Okay,
know.
so our time has come, like we're at the end. So where do you want people to find you, meet you? What comment do we want them to leave here so we know that they actually listened to the end? I think they should write the word pastrami. I listened to the end pastrami. I don't know. I'm kind of in the mood for deli right now.
I'm sorry, I missed that whole thing.
I know
Why
I
were you talking?
jumped. Welcome to the Holly job. That was a good one. I even lost you on that one. That was fun. I liked the confusion on your face.
From where do people find you to pastrami?
Yeah. I'm
You're
hungry.
not going to
What
find
can I
me
tell you?
pastrami most of the time. I'm a huge carnivore, but yeah, you will find me eating meat somewhere. You can find me at my website at brianlafontaine.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram.
And they should
Those,
explore public speaking. They should come find
oh,
you,
they
obviously.
should come find me because here's also the truth. Every person is going to have to speak at some point. Everyone's going to have to. Most people either don't really enjoy it or not that they don't enjoy it. They don't know how to enjoy it.
Yes.
I want to get you to a place where you can enjoy it because it should be enjoyable.
I mean, I want to sign up just because I don't find it enjoyable. I love
And listen,
conversations. This is why I'm
yeah,
doing this, right? Like I could talk, give me a panel, give me some people, give me something like to feed off of, but standing and going blah 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 is just so fear
gotta
inducing.
find it. You gotta be able to mix the two together because if you can do this, you can do the other thing.
I
I
believe
always
you.
I say if you can talk to one person, you can talk to 100 at the same time. Because it's the same thing. You're still just talking to people. You know, um, everyone's gonna have to speak. Most people, it drives them crazy or it scares the shit out of them. And you genuinely are just not very good at it. You suck at it, and you're still finding yourself in that position to where you have to speak. Let's find a way to get you out of that. Let's help you get past that because I use this on my website, and I say it in almost every workshop that I give is that everyone has a story and everyone's story is worth hearing, and I absolutely believe that. So if you've got something that you are interested in sharing, or if your company or organization is making you the face of at least a certain moment, there's a reason why. You've got shit that people need. You've got information that can help someone. You've got something that can make their job easier, their life easier, their day a little bit better. You can give them hope or inspiration in some way. And if you can do that and you're holding on to it and keeping it to yourself, okay, but think about how much more of a benefit it and you could be to whatever it might be
Yeah, the
in
world
the
can
work
use a
that
little bit more light, right? Like it's crappy out there, people. Let's connect and be real, authentic. Let's share your story. Find
yes,
Brian, obviously, because he can help. I mean, if I had another TEDx, which I would never do, but if I would be like, I would call you in a heartbeat. I would.
I'll
Maybe
take
I'll
you calling it.
just help me get over some of my own little fears, my
Yes.
quirks.
And my speakeasy event is always the first Monday of every month, and you'll find that on my website and on my social media stuff as well. But I would love to have you, even if you're not a speaker. I only leave room for 5 speakers, and everybody else is a spectator. So you can just come and have a beer, have a glass of wine, and just enjoy the vibe. And we'd love to have you in the room.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today. It was great. Everyone go listen and follow Brian and drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Welcome to the Holly Hughes from the Holly Hughes Podcast.